In the currency quadrant, taking a look at the June euro currency futures contract, which had a very strong day, we actually gapped up by 5 ticks from yesterday's settlement. And that was our low. 120.25 was the low in the futures today. The settlement yesterday, 120.20. So there's your gap. On the high side of things, though, only up 58 basis points, but that's a pretty good move for a major pair like this, a major currency future. 120.85.5 was the high. As I mentioned, up 58 basis points. This is now the second day this week that we had a move up over 0.5%. So obviously we completed another positive week for the euro. It was PMI day for the UK and the EU and individual countries in the EU. And this was market, manufacturing, and composite PMI along with services for Germany specifically. And those numbers were beat on most measures. Germany's services index came in a little bit lower than expected, but still at 50. The EU composite, the EU manufacturing, the German composite, the German manufacturing, France, Italy, pretty much across the board, all beat on these PMIs. Now, these measure smaller companies, the PMIs from market. So it generally runs a little bit hotter than the national PMIs do, the larger surveys. But this particular one showed good figures from small business, which is a good sign of sort of underlying growth in those economies, at least from last month. So it was a very good sign. Propelled the euro a little bit higher. And then the dollar, of course, always have to look at the dollar, weaker for a third straight session. We had the ECB meeting this past week. We had a Christine Lagarde speech again today where she said she's not the US Fed. The ECB is not the US Fed. She's not going to depend on the US Fed. She's not going to follow the US Fed. But we do have a Fed meeting next week following the ECB meeting this past week, and we've got the dollar weaker for a third straight session. Be interesting to see if Jerome Powell is as dovish as Christine Lagarde was in the ECB meeting. That's likely to propel the euro in one direction or the other at the end of that meeting on Thursday.